Heterodox itinerant preachers may have influenced some of the Bosnian Christian leaders. There is also speculation the Bogomils, a heretical Christian sect, influenced the early Bosnian Christians. Bogomilism, which began in Bulgaria, promoted a dualistic belief system. The Bogomils rejected Catholic and Orthodox rituals such as baptism, liturgy, and the sacraments. Not everyone accepts the Bogomil theory, and many modern scholars have debunked it. Whatever the case, the Christianity developing in Bosnia radically differed from the teachings of the Catholic Church. The Kingdom of Hungary tried to rein in what they considered heresy in Bosnia, but the Bosnians were not having it. They ran off the Hungarian bishop and continued doing things their way. The Bosnians developed their own church, the Bosnian Church. Its members were the ancestors of today's Bosniaks. Bosnian Crusade. Bosnia's isolation and mountainous geography make a clear picture of its medieval history difficult. However, Croatian, Serbian, and Hungarian rulers sometimes claimed it. Despite these various claims, Bosnia continued to act independently. Hungary attempted to invade Bosnia and bring it back in line, but that failed miserably. Hungary did appoint local men to act as governors. Hungary expected these governors to enforce Catholicism as the state religion, which was nearly impossible in Bosnia. Governments and governors changed rapidly in the Balkans, and Bosnia was often targeted for acquisition. Local leaders felt it was better to overlook the practices of the Bosnian Church to maintain political harmony. But this did not sit well with Hungary. The Kingdom of Hungary complained to the Pope about Bosnia's stubbornness, accusing its people of many heresies. The Pope and the Kingdom of Hungary launched a crusade against Bosnia in 1235. The crusade was led by Koloman, the brother of the Hungarian king, who ruled Croatia and Dalmatia. Mate Ninoslav, a local leader, led the Bosnians. Hungary was a significant regional power and did well in the early stages of the war. But in 1241, the Hungarians abruptly ended the crusade. The Mongols, led by one of Genghis Khan's grandsons, had just invaded Hungary. The Hungarians left Bosnia to focus on protecting their homes. With the Hungarians gone, Mate Ninoslav recaptured the territories they had lost during the crusade. But he also wanted to prevent future wars against Bosnia. Ninoslav contacted the Pope and confirmed his conversion to Catholicism. The Pope accepted his conversion and promised there would be no more crusades. While Ninoslav was alive, the Bosnian Church went dormant. But as soon as he died, it came roaring back to life. And within a few years, Catholicism was nearly extinct in Bosnia. Extermination of the Bosnian Church. By the middle of the 14th century, the Eastern and Western churches were convinced that the Banate of Bosnia was full of heresy. A Franciscan mission in the mid-1300s helped to bring much of Bosnia's elite back into the Catholic fold, but they did not bother with the ordinary Bosnian people. Meanwhile, Bosnia was growing more robust and more independent. In 1377, Bosnia declared itself a kingdom and began expanding its borders. The Kingdom of Bosnia captured land from the Serbs and the Croats. It also captured the land called Herzegovina and laid claim to Dalmatia and Croatia. The King of Bosnia took on a new title, the King of Serbia, Bosnia, and Primorje. Most of Bosnia's kings were Catholic for the next 100 years. Anything else would have invited another crusade. But these kings had to tolerate the Bosnian Church, to which most Bosnians belonged. This compromise frustrated the Catholic Church. In the mid-1400s, the Pope demanded the Bosnian king, Stjepan Tomasevic, stamp out these heresies. Together, the king and the Pope purged the Bosnian Church from Bosnia, forced the Bosnians to convert to Catholicism, and dismantled every aspect of the Bosnian Church. The Bosnians had very few choices. They could either become Catholic or flee to Herzegovina. Those who were forced to convert to Catholicism likely continued to carry their Bosnian Church beliefs in their hearts. They also had a deep hatred towards the Catholic Church. This hatred towards Catholicism likely made it easier for the Bosnians to accept Islam. The arrival of the Ottomans. The Ottomans began encroaching on Bosnian territory just a few years after the purge of the Bosnian Church. In 1451, they captured the territory that would become Sarajevo. To the Ottomans, this was frontier territory. They wanted Bosnia to act as a buffer against the Hungarians. However, as the Ottomans moved deeper into Bosnian territory, the Hungarians responded by conducting more raids. These raids depopulated the region, which the Ottomans resettled with new people, mostly Serbs and Vlachs. The Kingdom of Bosnia tried to defend itself against the Ottomans, but its efforts were hopeless. Bosnia was in no shape to fight the mighty Ottoman Empire. Bosnia's mountainous terrain made responding to the disciplined Ottoman troops difficult. Bosnia was also worn down from the Hungarian raids and the recent destruction of the Bosnian Church. The Ottomans invaded central Bosnia and conquered it within a few months. Soon after that, they executed Stepan Tomasevic, the last king of Bosnia. Militarily, the Bosnians had little trouble conquering Bosnia, but the Kingdom of Hungary was a different story. The Hungarians captured and occupied key fortresses and castles throughout the area, but they could never capitalize on these gains and drive the Ottomans out. This resulted in a brutal fight between the Ottomans and Hungarians to control Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Croatia. This conflict dragged on for over a century. Nonetheless, the Ottomans kept expanding deeper into Bosnia. By 1592, they had captured Bihać in the west, giving them near complete control of Bosnia and Herzegovina. How the Bosnians became Muslim. When the Ottomans invaded Bosnia in the 15th century, they brought Islam. Contrary to popular opinion, and unlike the Catholic Church, the Ottomans did not force the Bosnians to convert to their faith. Of course, the Ottomans promoted Islam and ruled according to Islamic law, but they generally allowed the Bosnians to practice whatever faith they wanted. So that brings up the question, why did so many Bosnians embrace Islam? There are several possible explanations for the Bosnian conversion to Islam. For one, Islam was a preferable alternative for many Bosnians. They had recently lost their church and resented the Catholics and the Orthodox. Secondly, Islam shares many similarities with Christianity, particularly its reverence and respect for Jesus Christ. Perhaps the Bosnians did not consider Islam a significant departure from their Christian faith. There were also practical considerations. When Bosnian people accepted Islam, they no longer had to pay the jizya tax. And finally, the best way to advance in Ottoman society was to become Muslim. This naturally caused friction with Bosnians who did not accept Islam. It could not have been easy for a Bosnian Christian noble to see a Bosnian Muslim peasant with more privileges and opportunities. Despite all these factors, Islam did not spread through Bosnia quickly. It was a slow process. Sarajevo was captured in 1451. 40 years later, there were only 4,500 Muslim families in Bosnia compared to 25,000 Christian families. 30 years later, the number of Muslim households began to close in on the number of Christian households. Unlike Catholicism, Bosnian peasants gravitated to Islam. This is not surprising as, historically, the poor and oppressed of society were usually the first to accept Islam. For centuries, the peasants had been forgotten in the turmoil of Bosnian politics. The Vatican destroyed the Bosnian Church, but its missionaries ignored the peasants who were devoted to that church. it was not difficult for the Bosnian peasants to adjust to Islamic rituals such as the 5 daily prayers and fasting during Ramadan. Like many new Muslims, they were likely grateful for the structure and discipline these practices brought. Those Bosnians who accepted Islam were no longer part of an unknown, persecuted heretical sect. Instead, they were part of a global ummah, or nation, stretching from Morocco to China. And if they worked within the Ottoman system, they could also make outstanding personal achievements. All of this was possible when they became Muslim. It should be noted that not all Bosnians accepted Islam. A few former members of the Bosnian Church refused to accept Catholicism, Orthodoxy, or Islam. These individuals usually relocated to Herzegovina.